Hey guys, it's METAGAMESGX here, and I'm going to be showing you a gameplay versus Canine Vanquish Soul. This is a highly requested gameplay of showing you guys how to beat the deck with Branded. Now, I'm going to show you two different replays, one I won and one I did not, so you guys can see kind of just like, we can go over the thought process and like, how, exactly the best places to hit Vanquish Soul with Branded Dracotail, because I think Branded Dracotail has a very good matchup into VS Canine, so let's get right into it. This is the first game. I'm going to be going first, and I draw Fallen of Albaz, Brand High Spirits, Bestial Saronir, Rahu Dracotail, and Mercurier. My opponent goes Xiaolong, Holy Sue, Fuelos, Holy Sue, and Triple Tactics Talents. So overall, this is a very strong hand from the Vanquish Soul player going second. He has the Holy Sue, which can get him into potential interruption, and then also the Fuelos plus Talents. So I really do have to kind of make a very good board in order to play around this. I go High Spirits, ditching the Saronir, and then the Titanclad to help play through hand traps and insulate my line. I get the Shrouded Dragon here, so that I can connect automatically to the Branded Fusion after I resolve the Saronir to send the Retribution, and then go into the main phase. I will start with the Shrouded Dragon, and then just send the Branded Fusion to connect it. I will draw the Dracotail Flame. He probably should have chained Fuelos there just in case I drew a called by, but I did not. I drew the Dracotail Flame, so now I will go Retribution to Branded Fusion, and now I will go Branded Fusion. He will chain the Fuelos. And that's fine, so I will go into Sanctifier here, sending the Cartesia plus the Fallen of Albaz. If I had ran the Banishment plus the Lad, maybe I would have done that instead, but he does draw the Stake Your Soul, which is pretty good, and I will just have to end up ending on this, which is pretty bad, but I do have the Mercurier plus the Titaniclad in the graveyard to hopefully help play through it, but I do add the Quem so I don't give him anything off the Fuelos. I probably should have sent the Albion, because if I had sent the Albion, I think off the High Spirits, it would have been a bit better on a hand that loses a bit harder to Ash Blossom. So I do think that that definitely would have been the play there. Instead, he draws Rhoda for turn, which is pretty good, all things considered. He goes Rhoda, and then Rhoda is going to be able to get him into the Brazen, which is on normal or special summon. You can add one Vanquish Soul, and then also you can quick effect activate on the field, destroy all their monsters in the column. So against Vanquish Soul, you don't want to line up your monsters in the same column because they will just get double popped by Raisin. And then he is able to go into Stake Your Soul here. This is also where like the lock kind of helps in these like simplified game states, but obviously I probably should have just activated Rahu and given him the draw off of the Fuelos to try to build up a better board than just Sanctifier. That's just what it is, because if you just end on a Sanctifier with no other interruptions, it's not really that good. I had the Mercurier, so I felt like I was in an okay position. And then he activates the Xiaolong to search another Vanquish Soul card from my deck from his deck to his hand. I go Mercurier there because just in case he ends up having another interruption, I'm going to be able to interrupt it. And then I go Mercurier there just so that I can end up stopping his game plan. And like, I'm kind of on the simplified board state where if he goes into a Link 1, I can obviously make a Mirror Jade, and that's a pretty good situation. I don't know that he has Holy Sue in his hand at this point, so I felt like the Mercurier was pretty strong, but then he has the Triple Tactics Talents, which basically just nukes my whole board here, because like obviously he can just go and take the Albaz here. And then that's going to be game. So I'm going to scoop there. And now we are going to go into game 2. I'm going to obviously choose to go first. For turn, I draw Luber, Dracotail Horn, Droplet, Fusion Deployment, Phimina. He draws Mad Love, Xiaolong, Azuna, Xiaolong, and Fuelos. Obviously, he has a pretty strong hand overall with 2 hand traps between the Fuelos and the Azuna. And then I'm going to go I'm gonna go Fusion Deployment, but he does Fuelos me, so that's gonna be pretty strong against him, or against me. I go into the Cartesia. He gets a draw off of that. He draws the K9 X-Force Liberation. I go normal summon a Luber. A Luber effect is going to search the Branded Fusion, and then Branded Fusion is going to be able to get into the Albion plus the Fallen of Albaz. Or sorry, no, I'm going to go into the Sanctifier once again, because this is at least my puppet line through the Fuelos at the very least. Yeah, I'm fine with giving him an additional draw, because I have the Phimina, I have the Cartesia, plus the droplet, and then also a clear line to Ido. So as long as he doesn't have anything too insane, I should be fine. And I don't trigger the Azuna either, so that's pretty good. He does draw the shifter for turn. He has a pretty gassy hand, all things considered. I go into, or he goes Mad Love effect, and I'm going to let that through. He does search the Vanquish Soul start, which is the field spell. This card's so broken. It's one of the reasons why Vanquish Soul is now so good, because it just adds one Vanquish Soul monster by targeting one you control and then adding a different one. And then it's also pretty good just battle protection. And then also it is during the end phase, if you control 2 or more Vanquish Souls, you can set one Vanquish Soul trap from your deck. So you obviously just get the pop 3 from deck for free now, which is really good off of that. And here I'm going to go into Cartesia, but he's going to chain the Mad Love, which is going to return 1 card on my field, which is just fine, 1 monster. So he's going to return the Alubra. This doesn't really do anything, so I feel like this was somewhat of a misplay by him. And then I go into the Granganol. Granganol is going to be able to send a light or dark from the extra deck or deck to the graveyard that's level 6 or higher. So this is going to be for the Ido, but he does chain the Xiaolong to summon, which is fine. And then I'm going to send the Ido here, and then I'm able to chain the Sanctifier. I should have chained the Granganol, so this was just like 100% misplay. And then I summon out the Ido and the Albaz. If I had chained the Granganol here and summoned Despy and Quertus, I realized I'd be in such a better position, because here I go Albaz effect, and then Albaz can then discard for the Lubellion. But if I had gone Granganol into Quem and then Quem effect, send Retribution, discarding Retribution, or I mean getting back Retribution for the Brand Fusion, I also would have had a discard. I don't think it would have been in time for Lubellion, but either way, it would have been better follow-up than what I just had. And then he goes into the Vanquish Soul start, and that's going to be able to search him out the Halisu, which allows him to play on my turn even better. And obviously, he has a super gassy hand, so he searched the Liberation, which targets one Canine Xyz, so this is pretty good. And then you can destroy one card I control. Troll. He has the Azuna in hand, but I do have the Dracotail Horn, which is going to destroy the Xiaolong and give me or return the Xiaolong and give me a draw, which was definitely a misplay too, because I just don't like Dracotail Horn in the current format. It just isn't very good against the K9 VS deck. So I just prefer the spell, and I do draw Mercurier, so it's pretty solid. I do draw the Thrust. Here I'm just going to end up going into the battle phase and then going into the scoop phase, because I obviously just don't have an out for the Ido if this goes to the graveyard. It will, during the standby phase, it will come back and destroy my whole turn. So I didn't feel like I had too much there, and he obviously could have just waited to do anything. Maybe he would have triggered the Thrust. So I feel like I just maybe preemptively scooped a bit. I feel like in this kind of hand, if I had triggered the Granganol and summoned the Quertus or even the Quem, I'd be in a winning position, and we'd be going into game 3. So let's check out the other gameplay in which I did pretty well. All right, so this is the game I had against VS K9. I ended up opening Mercurier, Rahu Dracotail, Triple Tactics Thrust, Branded Fusion, Branded White. He ends up opening Heavy Borger, Rhoda, Lantern, Ash, and Lupus. So we're doing a lot better of an opening, but I did lose die roll this time. I don't get Foolos though, so I think we're doing a lot better. He ends up going Rhoda, searches the Raisin. That's a really standard play. He then is able to go normal summon Raisin effect to just special, or to search out a different Vanquish Soul. He searches out the Mad Love, which on normal or special summon once again searches out VS trap or spell. He does go into he links off his Raisin for the rock, and then he's able to special summon the Mad Love off of the rock. And now Mad Love is able to be trigger its effect to special, or to get the start. And now he's going to go out to start to then get the Halisu. Since that's a different typing. And then he's going to activate the Halisu, revealing the Heavy Borger, and then he is going to be able to special summon the Halisu. And he goes end phase there. So yeah, that's just... So once again, guys, like, if you don't trigger the K9 stuff against VS, as you guys can see, they aren't just making Paradise Smashers. And as you can see, if he even had another extender here to make Paradise, he would... I mean, I guess he technically might have been able to, but he would have ended up, like, overextending, playing into hand traps, and having a less of a board, honestly. Because at this point, he's able to go... Halisu during the end phase, revealing the Heavy Borger plus the Ash Blossom. So now I know he has Ash Blossom. He summons out the Heavy Borger. And that's the nice thing about VS is that they reveal their hand. So you kind of get a good idea of what kind of hand traps they end up having. Heavy Borger, obviously during the main phase, quick effect, you can target one machine VS, return to the hand if you do special summon from your hand. So this is kind of irrelevant here because it's not in the hand, but it is a draw one by revealing a single dark, and then also Earth and Fire inflict 1500. So this is kind of how the VS players can burn you in time, or they can win the mirror match. This is basically how you win the mirror match, is that you just keep Heavy Borger burning your opponent. So he does add, put that back to his hand, and then he goes Borger effect to draw a card. So he does get the Holly Sue. He is able to go the Vanquish Soul start. Holly Sue is not that great. I mean, it's okay because here he has one, and this is a quick effect on either turn, so it's crazy. Vanquish Soul Snow Devil. This is if you reveal one of each of the attributes, Dark, Earth, and Fire, basically inflict 800, and then you can destroy all monsters on the field, and that includes your own. So that's kind of like something you don't want to use like without just already clearing your board, because if he used this here, right, he's going to be removing a lot of his monsters. So this is kind of one of their last lines of interruption just in general. So I do draw the called by for turn, which is decent. I think I do misplay up here, but obviously I could like called by the Raisin, so like I was thinking that was pretty good overall. So I do start with the Rahu Dracotail. I do like starting with the Dracotail engine going second if I'm able to, because this allows me to break the board and cycle into the branded engine after like I've already interrupted them, right? Because the Dracotail engine just board breaks way more. I go Rahu. He chains the Rock of the Vanquisher. This is probably where I should have chained Called By, to be honest. But honestly, I think Called By is like fine because he did reveal Ash. So I think like saving the Called By is actually just fine. He does get back the Raisin. I go Rahu, discarding the Mercurier, and then sending the Phimina from deck, because that's typically what you want to send off of the Rahu Dracotail if you don't already have one in rotation. And then I'm going to summon out the Dracotail Altharion. Altharion effect will target the Phimina to add it back to hand. I could have targeted one of his monsters, but I felt like at this point I have such a gassy hand, I'll be able to remove his monsters, and really the bounce isn't going to do much. I'd rather have the Phimina in hand for extra follow-up. Phimina is also going to be able to use her effect to set a Dracotail spell or trap. I'm going to set the Ketu Dracotail, which is basically the Rhoda of the deck. If you didn't know, you can add one Dracotail monster. Then if your opponent controls a monster, you can fusion summon one dragon or spellcaster monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field. So this happens on basically the resolution of the effect. So if this means this can also be this can be like Branded Retribution or like Solemn Warning because Solemn because this basically summons. However, your opponent has to basically deal with the fusion happening if they don't Ash this, essentially. So I'm going to get the Ketu, and now I'm going to use Ketu's I'm going to recur the Phimina off of the Altharion, then use Ketu, and he's going to go Ash on the Ketu, which is interesting. I mean, I guess he doesn't know that I'm on branded. I mean, he should, because I did discard the Mercurier, but ashing the Ketu is kind of crazy on 4 cards, but I do have the Called By at the very least. So like even if he didn't ash this though, I think I was looking kind of okay, like if I didn't have the Called By rather. So he chains Holly Sue here. I do on the resolution, I think, except that I get to fuse, so he didn't exactly read that, so I'm gonna fuse before he goes Holly Sue. With the Urgle I just searched out, which is a board breaker, because when it's sent to the graveyard for a fusion summon, you can destroy one spell or trap on the field. This is not target, and then plus the Phimina in hand, which is going to be really nice. So I'm going to be able to go Chainlink 1 Urgula, and then I'm going to attempt to go Chainlink 2 Grimmel, because you can chain the Grimmel right here to the effect of a Dracotail card. If you activate a Dracotail card and then target one card on the field and pop it. Now, I wasn't too sure on how this ruling actually worked out, so I feel like I definitely cheated him a little bit, because I was like, don't I get priority to activate the Grimmel, because he was going to try to activate Holly Sue, and apparently he can actually respond to the Holly Sue before my Grimmel, and then it does not resolve. So guys, just know this, like for the Grimmel, you have to chain it to an effect essentially, or else your opponent can chain block it with like Holly Sue or something, or their own quick effect. And that means when you're going against the Dracotail deck, if they use a Dracotail card and they have the Grimmel, you should use your Mirror Jade right after, or like a Cartesia, because then they won't be able to trigger the Grimmel. So this didn't make too much of a difference, because all I'm gonna do is pop the field spell, which prevents one destruction in general, which didn't make any difference. So I still felt like this was a learning opportunity for everybody. And then I set the Dracotail Flame, since I already used Ketu and the Rahu, so there isn't too much Dracotail engine I'm going to be using. But this is why it's also important to have Grimmel in your deck, so you can go from Altharion to Grimmel and then further break your opponent's board. So I'm going to target the Snow Devil with the Dracotail, or sorry, with the Urgula. And he lets that through because he already has 3 monsters on board. So it's either chain Snow Devil, pop his old board, and destroy 2 useless Dragontail monsters that recur themselves, or he has to keep his monsters on board since he still has the Holly Sue. So he lets that through. I guess he didn't read it either. I guess he's like, oh shit, chained. But if he chained, he would have had to pop all of his monsters. So he was already in a bad position, I think, at that point. He does chain the Holly Sue at this point, and Holly Sue is going to reveal the Raisin plus the Borger to get out the VS Raisin, and then Raisin effect is going to pop my Altharion because it's in the same row as it. Or sorry, no, he's going to search this Kaiser Valius, which is a non-target destroy on field if you reveal an Earth, Fire, or Dark, or you can reveal an Earth and then it's unaffected by your opponent's card activated effects this turn. So something like Mirror Jade gets around this with its floating effect to destroy all your opponent's cards or monsters at the end phase. Because it's not an activated effect, just so you guys know. And they can only use one of their effects per turn. So make sure to, like, a very important point with the VS cards is to keep track of what effects they've used, because they can only use one of their quick effects per turn, which is their reveal effect. So he is going to be able to go into the Raisin now to pop the Altharion, because he can reveal and because he's in the same column, and he has a Fire and Dark in hand. I send the Dracotail Flame to the graveyard just on accident, but obviously that does not pop spell or trap, so that's my bad. And then he's going to be able to chain the Heavy Borger. Heavy Borger is going to be able to is going to be able to draw 1 card by revealing a Dark. He reveals another Raisin, so that's not too great. So that's why I don't love about the Heavy Borger thing in this deck, because you are drawing into like your 9 hand traps, right? Like obviously you're drawing into your VS cards, but if you've already used them, your draws off of Borger aren't that great, because there's kind of a low chance of you actually drawing a relevant hand trap here. Since they have to basically run all monsters to reveal attributes. So I do go the Thrust here, which is going to further break his board. I haven't even used Brand White or Branded Fusion. He does change the Kaiser Valius, so that's totally fine. Spinning back the Holly Sue to hand. I go Thrust, and Thrust is going to be able to get Grass Looks Greener. This is why I love the 60 card version of Branded. Especially Dracotail, because Grass Looks Greener just powers through your opponent's board, right? You can go into you can cycle through the Dracotail cards, and then you can go, like, use your Thrust, get a Grass, and then you do Branded White and Branded Red plays, and then you can go Branded Fusion. It's like 5 waves of board breaking with the 60 card version. There's so much gas, and I love it. So I do go Grass Looks Greener here. I have a 49 card to his 25, so I'm going to mill 24. I'm just going to fast forward that. I end up milling everything I basically could have wanted. I milled a Saronir, a Retribution, a Despian Tragedy, right? So, and I do have the Branded Red in graveyard, which I could recur back. I also have the Urgula engraved with Phimina to recur that back. And here I'm just going to trigger the Tragedy plus the Saronir, so I can get more card advantage. We get the Despian Tragedy, or the Aluber, and then we send the opening to the graveyard off the Saronir, just for extra destruction protection in the future. And then we go Retribution, targeting the Branded in red, so I can have... So I have Branded Red, Branded White, and then into a Branded Fusion to board break. Do you guys see how, like, insane? That's why I think Branded White is 100% required in this kind of build, because after you resolve Grass, it's just, like, way too free. So I go Branded White here, banishing the Mercurier plus the... Oh, no, I banished the Shrouded plus the Altharion to make a Mirror Jade here, because it challenges the Kaiser Valius really well. Because I can quick effect go Mirror Jade, and then he has to either go Valius effect to either make him unaffected or destroy 1 card on the field. And if he makes it unaffected, okay, then I just crash the Mirror Jade, pop his board, and then I can end up blocking him. So I go Mirror Jade effect here, and he ends up quitting the duel. So yeah, guys, that was only 1 round against VS. I know I'm going to get more gameplay against the actual VS K9 deck. I've been really only able to play that deck on Edo Pro, and I don't exactly know how to do the replays there very well. So I will just say offhand, I think the VS matchup is pretty doable. As long as you don't get FUA'd, I think your engine actually goes very well into the deck, as you see, because you can break their board with the Rahu Dracotail. The thrust is just devastating, whether it's like a Talon's Rip or like a Talon's Take, or draw to just get advantage, or just the thrust into grass just to further board break, which is why I think cards like Brandon White are super important. So you can just constantly board break. Like, that is the name of the game with the Dracotail engine. It helps you board break, and it helps you give consistency, right? Because you're setting Dracotail Flame, you're getting a Grimmel with which is a pop, and it was unfortunate about that. Technically a cheat at the with the Grimmel, but like, it didn't make any difference, right? He would have been able to have the field spell still, and guess what? I'm still destroying it with Mirror Jade, and I guess he could if a Vanquish Soul monsters would destroy it. So I guess he could have kept the field spell on board to prevent the Mirror Jade, but like, obviously I have Branded Fusion and Branded in red, so I could go Branded in red, just make Chaos Star Source after I go Branded Fusion. He doesn't have an Ash Blossom, so from here I can just go Branded Fusion into Albion, get the Lubellion, go into Chaos Star Source, start popping his cards, crash the Valius, and then I can set up a lock through the Branded in red and the Albion plays that I'll have in the graveyard. He doesn't have anything to play through that, and I think the really important part was the first game I locked them on such low a card advantage that the lock didn't matter really. In the moment, I was like, I don't have enough advantage, so I just ended up surrendering at that point. But I think when you play your grind game, when you're remembering to trigger your Grand Guignol's, right, like, you have enough card advantage to sit on the Ido and then OTK them. That's when Ido's just so good against Yummy and VS because it stops them from just like all these monsters special summoning, right? And we haven't even triggered the Lupus, right? Obviously, we didn't even go find Mina that turn, but like, if he had a Zuna, it could have been a little bit different. But as you guys see, they're kind of body blocked here. So I wanted to show you guys this is what typically happens in the K9 VS matchup, so you guys get a shot at it. Obviously, we'll be doing better against it in the future, but I wanted to give you guys a idea of what they do and what you should be doing. Basically, going through the Dracotail cards, using your non-engine, and then finally breaking their board with Branded. I don't think you need any really non-engine besides thrust to go into this deck, as long as you don't get FUA'd, right? This deck just does so well when they FUA you, because then they just draw more engine, which is like better because it's board breaking. So you just be careful for that, right? But besides that, I think this matchup is quite doable, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a like down below. If this video gets 100 likes, we will do another gameplay and do a follow-up on another VSK9 gameplay. I'm gonna go record some more, and then also I do have Pure K9 coming. I have Dracotail. I have Pure Dracotail versus Branded. I have Dracotail Branded Mirror match coming. Guys, I have lots of gameplay coming. Make sure you're subscribed for all of it. We stream every week, guys. I have a website, MetaGamesGX.com. Check out if you want to pick up my branded spreadsheet and then my branded playmat, and even some shirts that are pretty great, inspired by your favorite Branded and Ryzeal monsters. So yeah, guys, I do appreciate it. Comment down below what you guys thought of the video. Leave a like. Once again, road to 20,000 subscribers. Love you guys. Stay safe. Have a great one.